Salute, and love. You already know who it is. JAH-ACE from JAH-ACE TV. What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Come on in, come on in. You already know what it is, man. We got a big one tonight. We got a real big one. You know, share the live. Definitely share the live, man, because this is gonna be something epic, something definitely worth talking about, man. Y'all gotta tune in, man. Tune in, tune in. Share the live, y'all. Definitely share the live, man. We got these mothers coming up here. We got these mothers getting ready to come up here, man. They getting ready to talk about some real shit, man. So my advice is to definitely share the live, man. We got a lot going on today. These mothers is very powerful, very strong women that dealt with a whole lot, man. And I just tip my hat to them. They've been through a lot, man. And for them to even come up here, it just shows they got a lot of courage, man. So y'all get ready to tune into this, man. Big things going on here. Let's get to it, y'all. Come on. You already know what it is, man. Share the live, man. I don't think y'all hear me, man. Salute to DGR on the track, man. I'm gonna play this track one more time for DGR, man. We gotta give it out to him. Yeah, one beach. You know, holla at DGR, man. He got all the tracks, man. I'm gonna play that one more time for the people, man, before we bring these ladies up here. Salute, and love. You already know what it is. JAH-ACE from JAH-ACE TV. You know, today we're gonna be talking to these ladies, these queens, They're gonna be talking about, some of the things that they done been through being parents of autistic children. So we ain't even gonna waste no time. We gonna bring them up, and let them do their thing, man. How y'all doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Can, can you introduce yourself?
Who's starting?
You.
Oh, me? Okay. My name is Dr. Jessie LaFrance Dunbar. I am a professor of English and African American Studies at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. I teach African American, Cuban, and Russian literatures, as well as African American studies. I have a 14-year-old autistic, gorgeous son.
How about you, Sharita? Sharita, can you hear me? Oh, her mic is muted.
Yeah, you got to turn the mic on.
Your mic. Unmute your mic. You have to unmute your mic. Yeah. Do it again. Right there. Do it again. You have to unmute your mic. I can hear you. Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Go back. Go back. You gotta go out and come back in. Yeah. So Jesse, tell the people about yourself though. And some of the things that you've been through throughout your life. You know what I'm saying? Before you was able to have a kid, and I can't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. So here's the thing. My journey as a special needs parent started with me. My mother got pregnant with me when in 1975, and she had I can hear you now. Yeah. So do you want to introduce yourself? I can stop so she can introduce herself.
No, she's not sounding good. You
Yeah, I
got to come.
can't.
You got to go all the way out and come back in. You hear me? Go out. Go all the way out. Go all the way out and come back in.
So
Yes, good.
I will start by saying my mother got pregnant. Well, actually, I guess she got pregnant with me in 1976. So this was before people really understood special needs. My mother had spinal meningitis.
Mm-hmm.
She did not know she was pregnant with me until she went to the hospital for it. And this is, post Roe v. Wade. So they told her when she came to, she was in a coma. When she came to, they told her, your daughter or your child, they didn't know it was going to be a girl then, your child is going to be, the word that they used then was retarded. And, I'm sorry, my thing
Wow.
keeps going out. They said that I was going to be retarded and deformed.
Wow.
And my mother didn't care.
What a
And
way to talk to a parent.
that was in the 70s. My mother did not care that I was going to be special needs. And there was no possible way that I could be anything but what I am now, were it not for the fact that she was willing to have a child, knowing that I might not end up being a professor, knowing that I might uh, look in a way that people found problematic. And so that's where my journey started. But I'll stop because I think let's make sure we can hear you because lady,
Sharita, I don't know what's going on with her phone, man. Cause we can't hear it. She's not moving or nothing.
well, she's sort of moving now, but I can continue. I mean,
Yeah,
until we can
continue
make her.
because she.
So, Sharita, listen, whenever, just keep trying to speak. Once we can hear you, I will be quiet so we can give you the floor. Is that okay? Can you hear me? All right. Is that okay, Aja,
Yeah,
for me to,
yeah.
okay. So that's kind of where it started. And then, I had kids late. I had my son when I was 31.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had a number of problems like a lot of Black women do when they're pregnant. I didn't gain weight. I gained 8 pounds during the entirety of my pregnancy with him. I thought this was strange. I brought it to the table. They acted like I was wilding out. And then the day that I was going to give birth to him, 6 weeks early, they said, your son may be special needs. And this was something that I anticipated because I knew that even though I'd never been pregnant before, I knew that this was not a normal pregnancy. But
How
they
did you know
honestly,
that though?
because I only gained 8 pounds, because I was very, very sick throughout the entire pregnancy. Because I had, now I have lupus. I didn't know I had lupus at the time, but I had other autoimmune diseases that should have made me high risk. And they just did not treat me as a high risk person. So at one point, when I was pregnant with my son, I thought that I was having a miscarriage. I was bleeding. And I told them I was bleeding. And I went to the ER. My doctor did not want to see me. I went to the ER and they were like, "Oh, your baby is still fine. You need to follow up with your OBGYN." And I did. And then
Mm-hmm.
she was like, "Yeah, there's a good chance that you can have a spontaneous abortion, also known as a miscarriage. And but you don't have to call me for that. Just have it at home."
Oh, wow.
And she was pregnant. She was pregnant.
So, where did that happen? Here in New York or somewhere out of state?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you see me okay? Because my little ring light keeps going off. Let me move this so you can see me better. Um, I was pregnant with
Hello,
my
can y'all hear
son,
me?
and yes,
Yeah,
yes,
definitely. We can
lady,
definitely
take
hear
the
you now.
floor. Take the floor, honey.
Can you introduce yourself?
Oh my gosh, this is terrible.
I don't know what's going on, man. Can you
Tell me
hear
what you
us?
want. Tell me what you want me to do, because I'll keep talking until she can get
Nah,
in.
you gotta keep talking, cause
All right, yeah. So, um, I knew that I had never been pregnant before, so I didn't know what pregnancy was like, but I did know that I wasn't gaining enough weight. I did know that I had these other I had a thyroid condition. That's what I knew. And so I was pregnant with him when I was in my master's program. I have to remember this. In my master's program, and I moved to Pennsylvania because both of my children's father was working there at the time. So I had to switch doctors. And when I got to Pennsylvania, they treated me more like this was going to be a special needs pregnancy. So I had to go
mm,
there every day, 2 hours a day. Well, not every day. I went there 3 times a week for 2 hours a day. And still, they said, well, it may not be a special needs pregnancy. We just are being extra cautious. And then I went there one day for the 2 hour visit. and they acted like I was stupid, right? So they were like, I knew what it looked like because I'd been there for multiple months doing this same thing. And they said, well, what about if we just put you in a room? Well, why don't you put on this hospital gown? And I was like, all right, well, this isn't normal. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said, we think that your child needs to be, you have to give birth to him 6 weeks early. Like you have to get, he's going to die if you don't give birth to him today. And this is not any kind of situation that a pregnant woman wants to go through, right? Like I was horrified because I kept asking them over and over and over
That was
again,
your
is this
firstborn,
normal?
right?
Yes, yes. So then just before I went into surgery, they said, there's a good chance that your son is going to be special needs. The only way that we'll know is if his head is big, they call it head sparing, and his body is small. If his body is a normal size, but his head is small, he's definitely going to be special needs. So this is what they did just before I went into surgery. And the other thing, just as an aside, is that they don't give Black women what they need in terms of pain medication. So I told them, they gave me the block, right, the epidural, and I said I can still feel you cutting me open because I had to have a C-section. And they said that I was being hysterical. And they asked me what I was feeling. I described it. Their father was in the room. What I was describing was exactly what they were doing. He could see, I couldn't see because they had like um a curtain up, so I couldn't see them cutting me open. And then when they pulled him out, they said we have head sparing. So I was awake, but I was relieved by it, but I wasn't, because when I saw my son, he was, of course, a preemie. He was 2 pounds 7 ounces, 6 weeks early. Um, and I looked at him and I was like, he looks like he's gonna need some help, right? When you're a
Mm-hmm.
mother, you know. And they tried to convince me that I was wilding out. There's nothing wrong with your baby, whatever. And I was like, I mean, okay, but there's something not right here. I
Yeah.
can
So
stop. Let's
yeah.
see if
Can you hear us? She gonna have to go. She might have to go to a whole nother area. It might have something to do with her Wi-Fi.
yeah. Do you want me to keep talking, Aja?
Yeah. Good.
All right. So, after he was born, they told me that he had something called, gosh, goodness gracious. There is some kind of disease that only Black and Caribbean people get.
A
And it
word.
meant, yeah, and
What's the
and it
name of it?
meant uh um G6PD deficiency is what it's called.
Say it again.
G as in Gary,
Mm-hmm.
6, like the number 6, P as in Paul, D as in Dunbar, like me, deficiency. So, you have to understand that I've never had a child before, and I was just afraid of what his needs would be without having access to the information. At this point, I did not know that my son was going to be autistic. I just knew that he had some other issues that were going to have to be attended to. Some G6PD deficiency is basically something that indicates that your child is more prone to having, oh, I'm so sorry, being anemic. So there are any number of foods that I had to keep from him. So that was not that difficult for me. But as he got older, he could climb anything. He just wasn't walking on time. He started speaking at 6 months and then he stopped. And I was concerned about that. And I kept asking, what is going on? And the doctors kept assuring me that I didn't have anything to worry about until they said I did. And then finally, when he was around 18 months old, they said we need to test him for autism. And the only thing that I know about autism at that point was the movie Rain Man. So my understanding was he might be like what people consider to be weird but brilliant. I didn't know that there was such a thing as being on the spectrum where you might never speak, where you might not be potty trained.
So being on the spectrum, what does that mean for those that really don't know?
So the spectrum is vast, right? So I always say this: there are people who use the word retarded in a way that is disrespectful, especially Black people with regard to hip hop culture. I'm just going to be honest about that. That is something that bothers me very much. But retarded is the word that describes what my son is. There's nothing wrong with being retarded. What is wrong with retardation is the way that we refer to people who we think are weird as being retarded. Or corny as being retarded, right? So my son, his development is arrested, which is what retarded means, arrested development. My son is absolutely brilliant, very much so in terms of emotional intelligence. But here's the thing that I want to make very clear to people who might be tuning in:
Hmm.
there is literally absolutely no such thing as uh, genius without autism. There is not a person on the planet who we know to be a genius who is not directly autistic themselves or has a parent on the spectrum. So autistic people are very, very, very smart, even though we don't necessarily acknowledge the manner in which they express their intelligence. So, what's his name? Einstein is autistic, was autistic,
Hmm.
right? Um, it's very important to me that people understand that that's one way of expressing brilliance, but there are other
That's a fact.
ways. There are other ways, and my son is one of them. If I can give you an example, I can stop talking because maybe I'm talking too much. Do you have
No, you're not.
questions? Okay. So here's what I was going to say. I am a single mother. I Both of my children are fathered by the same man. Um, it didn't work out with us. I married him. It didn't work out. I'm still their mother, right? Um, at some point, my daughter is about 5 years younger than my son. At some point, I started dating again. And it was somebody I went to high school with who came to visit me. And I wasn't living, obviously, with their father. And he liked the guy that I was dating, but he
Mm.
was sitting next to him. And his father walked in to visit. And he didn't want to hurt his father's feelings, but he didn't have the language to describe what he was feeling. So what he did was moved away from the guy that I was dating at the time. And let's be clear, the way that I function, their father had met the guy that I was dating. We always do this. If I'm going to date somebody, they have to meet their father first before my kids are introduced. And I don't introduce my kids to people until I've been dating them for a while. But anyway,
That's
he
respectful.
my daughter was a baby at the time and he went upstairs to go see her. And when he did, my son went back over to the guy that I was dating at the time. I was engaged to him, if that makes a difference to anybody. And he just grabbed his hand and put it against his face to let him know that it wasn't personal. He just didn't want to hurt his
Hmm.
father's feelings. That is brilliant. My son was 5 when he did that. When you can't, when my thing is, I just imagine for a moment that you lose all ability to speak. How would you explain your needs? My son does it every day. I've tried it because he had to do it. I've tried going 24 hours without speaking and trying to let people know what I need, what I'm feeling. I can't do it. I failed miserably. My son does it every single day.
So let me ask you something. So who's the first person that that you told that to, like when you found out the
That my son was
diagnosis?
autistic.
Yeah.
Um, my mother. And honestly, I got the call. Their father, his name is John. He took my son to the appointment when we got the diagnosis. We already taken him through tests, but I had to go to class, so I couldn't be there. So he called me and he said, "Yeah, they said he's autistic." And I literally could not walk. I was on the phone with him, and I started walking toward the graduate student lounge, and I just started to collapse. I was so heartbroken. So I got off the phone with him and I called my mother and I was like, "Yeah, they said that Caleb is autistic." And she didn't know much more about it than I did. But she was like, "Oh, he's going to be brilliant. It's going to be fine." But I was so afraid.
What's up?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, finally. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry for
I'm going to
the
mute my mic
technical
so you can speak.
difficulty.
Yeah, so let the people know who you are.
Hey, I'm Sharita. Thank you for joining me to this platform. I have so much to talk about. And
All right. All right. Hold on a second, man. Go ahead.
all right. So I'm here
Turn
to
it.
I'm here to talk about dealing with a child, even though her child is nonverbal, but my son, he's verbal. And the thing is, um just knowing that you have a child that's on the spectrum, it's so many different layers of autism. So the thing is, a lot of people, they don't understand the nature of this you know different levels of the spectrum. A lot of people feel like I'm overreacting. A lot of people feel like, you know um if you talk to him and stuff like that, and then it's like y'all don't get it. So I had to learn that I can't really talk, even though like my friends and stuff, they try to be supportive and stuff like that, but if they never experience what I experienced, they can't really give me like good advice, because in their mind they still giving me advice as if my child is a normal 17-year-old child, and he's not. It was a struggle far as the showers. He don't like water hitting his body. Like, for example, it's raining. Good, thank God that it wasn't raining early enough for him to when he had to go to school, because when it rains outside, it's a trigger for him. So it's like my job don't know. I work in law enforcement, and pretty much they don't really care about you raising a child on the spectrum. Um, and it's like, I'm a single parent. I don't have my family support. I don't have that support. And it's like dealing and raising your child to try to be self-sufficient is very difficult, because it's like, if you're not giving me the services that I need to make him be self-sufficient, just in case something happened to me, like, what is that you want me to do? And then it's like, parents of children with autism spectrum disorder have been shown to experience stress and depression and anxiety. I experienced that to the point that I had a meltdown, because it's like, I'm reaching out for help, I'm crying for help, and nobody's listening to me, nobody's hearing me. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, it's very difficult, because it's like, if I'm reaching out for help and nobody is not even forwarding me to the right place, or they never forward me to the right direction whereas he can get help. It's been years and years. And then the process of knowing that something is wrong with your child, and then it's like, I don't know what to diagnose him with. I had experience whereas my son was going to see psychiatrists, and I had psychiatrists telling me, well, I don't know what to diagnose him. Here's 3 medication, do your research and let me know what medication to give him. I felt some type of way, because I was like, this is your profession. How you gonna expect a mother like me that is lost, don't have no clue about raising a child that's on this type of spectrum, and you just want me to give him medication? No,
So you said that.
absolutely not.
So you said that the job do know.
They have all the documentation, and
They don't
guess what?
care.
They penalize me, they punish me. They punish me. Right now I'm fighting to get my 2 days back from my job. They took 2 days pay. Right now, before I came live, I'm talking to my union and stuff like that, and trying. Now it's like, now you messing with me financially. Bad enough as it is, I'm dealing with this situation. Now y'all messing with me financially, and that's a
So,
problem.
can, I don't want to interrupt you. You live in New York?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to know where you live because I think when we get off here, I don't know as much about services in New York. I never lived in New York with my son. He couldn't tolerate New York. I brought him there, and he was horrified.
Yeah,
He
my
can't deal with that. But I do have family who has special needs kids in New York, and my cousin is amazing. I don't have the information right now, but
mhm.
I will absolutely, I would love to get in contact with you after we get on
Yeah.
this call and give you that information. But I wanted to say this. One of the things, and I don't care how this sounds, because AJ told me that I could just be myself, right?
That's a
One of the
fact.
things that really hurts my heart so much when I knew something was going on with my son is that, unfortunately, I mean, the only community that I really care about in terms of their opinions, because they have raised me, they've made me who I am, is Black people. And Black people have been like, that baby ain't autistic. He's not talking because you do everything for him. Like, you got, if you just, he's not talking because you anticipate all his needs. And I'm like, that's not what's happening, right? Like, I
Yeah,
need you to
but
know
yeah,
that,
it's just
right? You
it's
don't have any idea what's going on.
right. But in the Black community, they always feel like they don't want their child to be labeled. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. You
At the
know.
end of the day, it's very important to get them the services that they need. And I get it, right? Like, I think, again, where I started was talking about what my mother did for me. My mother was told to abort me, and let's be clear, I am I'm pro-choice. Okay, so I'm not saying people shouldn't get abortions, but if my mother, based on the information that she got, had aborted me, look at what I ended up doing. You know what I mean? But the other thing is, my son, despite the fact that he does not present the way that other people think that he should, he brings so much value. But also, I feel very strongly that there are people who, medical professionals, who do not want to deal with this question because autism is not one field. It is psychological, it's neurological, it's in some cases, as I said, my son is not. Let me give you. So tonight, my son ate his own shit. I'm sorry if am I not allowed to curse? I'm sorry, but
No, you are. You can be
he ate his
yourself
own
on here.
he ate his own shit. I have a significant. That's one of my only phobias is shit. He ate his own shit. Then he shit on the floor. I had to take a toothbrush and go between the floorboards, right? But the problem is not my son, though. The problem is, like you said, I don't have access to the resources that are necessary for my son. I can put him into a potty training program. You know where? In Atlanta. It's going to cost me $40,000. I had him in an eating program because he had an eating disorder. And when he did, he was dying. And they told me that they were going to take me to jail if I didn't
Mhm,
put him in this program. I
mhm,
had him in there as a outpatient.
mhm,
And they said, well, you have to put him in as an inpatient, which meant, and I had 5 jobs at the time, and I was in school. They were like, you have to come here Monday through Friday from for 7 hours a day and
mhm,
force feed your child. And if you don't, we're going to call the cops. You have 2 options. We're going to call the cops and have you arrested
mm,
and then take him into the system,
mm,
or we're going to put a feeding tube in him, which he's going to have to live with for the rest of his life.
mm,
So then I had to just sit there and watch these people bust my son's lip with forks, forcing his tongue, like his mouth open, because the food was disgusting. They were like, oh, if he'll eat this, Once we're done with him, he'll eat anything. So it was like they would take eggs, put them in the microwave. They would take hot dogs, chop them up, and put them in the microwave. And then they would, he don't want to eat that, right? So they would force his mouth open. And then if he wouldn't eat it, they would take it out from under his tongue, put it back on his tongue, and then turn away and be like, you need to swallow and chew. This, I can't even explain what that did to me because my
Right.
child was looking for me to protect him.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it did work. But at what cost?
Right. Right. And that's the thing that I had experienced. You know, it's like I was crying out for help. You know, I've become like having all these outbursts because it's like, why is it so difficult for him to get the proper services? So when I went to my, I really don't want to talk about it, but I have to talk about it. I went to a deep depression to the point that if the EMS is coming to your house and they supposed to have training dealing with people that is diagnosed with depression or whatever the case may be with mental health. They come to my house and they want to take me to the hospital, but I was like, well, I can't leave him in the house by himself. I need to at least find out where my oldest son is so he can be able to supervise him. So I was like, well, can y'all take him to the precinct until my son get home? And when I was trying to make, the proper arrangement to make sure that at least he's safe while I'm going to take care of my mental health, the supervisor of the EMS assaulted me and they put me in handcuffs. So it's like now when my son have his outbursts and he have his meltdowns and stuff like that, I plead to 911 and letting 911 know that please do not use of force against my child. My child is autistic. So it's like how my most concern is him interacting with law enforcement. Law enforcement is not trained to deal with kids with autism because my thing is I had to learn that when I get upset, I can't raise my voice. That's a trigger. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like if a cop come and they have this strong authority and stuff like that, his mechanism is going to be the first thing is I need to protect myself. I don't feel safe. So then it's like in the meantime, in between time, you're going to end up beating up my child, not knowing that what y'all doing, how you're approaching him is a trigger. That's
I,
another issue that I'm dealing with that I'm afraid. You
if I
understand?
can,
And then I
if I
also
could, oh, I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Oh, and another thing that I learned about my child, if I'm telling him that I'll be home at 5:45 and I'm not there at 5:45, like last time I did that, and he's like, I was a minute and certain seconds late, and he was downstairs in my hallway with just his drawers and no shoes, no socks on. Anything could have happened to my child. You understand what I'm saying? It's plenty of times he ran away and I didn't know where he's at. So I'm telling parents that who have a child that's on the spectrum, there's a tracking device called AirTag. You understand what I'm saying? It comes in all different shape and forms. He likes his keys. He likes Ariel Grande. So I'll put the sticker on there saying this is his good luck charm. So I'll be able to track him down just in case, he wanders and he disappeared like he did
What what
before.
what what, what is it called?
It's called AirTag.
You heard of that, Jesse? You on mute.
I haven't heard that one in particular. There's one that you can put in their clothing. Then there's another one that you can put on their skin. But I was not going to do that to my son.
No.
The clothing one I was willing to do. My son used to be a runner too. I couldn't sleep at night because he would try to escape.
Right. Right.
Yes,
And
I wanna ask both of y'all this though. Do when did y'all get to a point where were y'all ever ashamed?
oh, I never was ashamed. I never was ashamed, because you know why I was never ashamed? Because it's like the world don't care. So I have to be his advocate, even though it was very, very stressful. I had to be his advocate. I had to fight for him because nobody else was going to fight for him. And then it's like, how do autistic parents cope? You know, um, cope with this, spectrum. So it's like, for me, I had to like do family activities. I had to always continue to think positive and stuff like that. Just learning, just learning things about him to get him to do this basic activity. Like, I know he loves music and stuff like that, and it's plenty times that he just don't want to he don't want to go out. He don't go out. I take him to try to socialize. He would not talk to nobody, but if you come up to him and you talk to him, he will speak to you. But other than that, he never used to give eye contact. It was plenty of times I came up to the school, and we're going to talk about DOE. DOE in New York City, when it comes to children that's on the spectrum of trash. I'm sorry to say that they are trash. They are garbage. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's like, it's plenty of times when I went to, the IEP meeting, and pretty much as a concerned parent, all you asking is, well, how many kids, in his setting that is diagnosed with autism, and how are you helping him out to succeed education wise? And I was told that, oh, we cannot disclose that information. And so I
Well,
was like, okay, if you
Sarita,
have so many different people in the 12 group setting, how is it that I'll be concerned that he's getting the proper education that he needs? Because if he's on the spectrum, and then you have somebody else that's ADHD, and then you have somebody else that have this element, how is it one teacher is able to, you know, provide,
Address all those
proper
needs, right?
education for
Like
them?
they don't, yeah, there's no way that they can do that.
Right.
I want
you,
to
you
I
see the
want to
you see
answer the
you
question
see the
that
screen?
me?
D, yeah, D time
What does that mean?
on the
I can't
screen.
see. D time? No, I don't see it. I'm sorry.
He's If you look on the screen, he's
Oh,
asking
what
you how.
is oh, okay. What is her son's favorite hobby? Is he asking me or you? Well, I know my
All of
son.
y'all, both of y'all.
Oh, well, my
Okay,
son,
well, all right,
my
go ahead.
son, my son, he likes to sing. Actually, it soothes him. So he does that, and he also like LED lights. So what happened was, I bought like this Galaxy lights, and it plays music, and it calms him down. And and he's a great artist. So he paints, he draws and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what he likes to do, and that's
Okay,
what he wants to do later on in the future.
How about you, Jess?
I'll
What?
start by answering that question, but then I want to go back to the question you asked, Aja. My son is very much into swimming. Anything involving water he loves. He likes to play basketball. I'm terrible at basketball, but I bought him a basketball hoop and he's very good at it. I'm not, but I play with him. Um, what I My son is more adept at the kinds of, he's very athletic, but he doesn't do group sports because he doesn't understand necessarily what like if you play football, they'll tell you this is the play. My son is not going to understand that. But if you put him in a pool and say swim faster than these people, he'll do it. If you give him a basketball and say put this in the hoop, he'll do it. But the question you asked earlier was I ever ashamed? And I feel like maybe, maybe this is not something I should say. Yes, I was, but that was before I knew he was autistic. I am a teacher, and I was like, why is my son not able to talk? Like I taught him all this stuff, and then he just regressed. When I knew he was autistic, I was not. And let me explain why. I think that a lot of things that we do as adults, race aside, really doesn't have anything to do with what makes you a good person, right? So my son is happy when he's stimming. My son is happy if you play certain songs for him. Like you said, my son can't sing because he doesn't speak. But if you play certain music for him, he's so, and I have this all over my social media. He loves it, right? And there are people who think when he does that at inconvenient or inopportune times that it's a problem. But that's not his problem. He's not bothering anybody. He's not, I'm very careful about bringing him into spaces. Like, for example, I can't take my son to a movie theater because he's going to make noise and people will act like that's a problem. And I'm going to tell you out the gate that I will fight you over my son
Mhm.
making noise, right? So now, fortunately, where I live, we do have drive-in movies. I'll take him to a drive-in movie every day of the week and twice on Sunday if that's what he wants to see. However, um, other things that he does really don't bother people. They're just, I feel very strongly that there are a lot of people who are uncomfortable with the fact that they are faking, that we as adults are performing some
Mhm.
version of
Mhm.
normalcy that our
Mhm.
kids don't feel the need to do. And my son has taught me that I don't have to do that. I don't have to do that shit. At the end of the day, like if I feel like, I have a song in my heart and it's not, interrupting somebody's viewing pleasure or whatever, if I feel like I'm in a space where I want to dance and people are not dancing, so the fuck what?
Mhm.
I'm not bothering you. At the end of the day, this is what we always say about like people when they get older, for example, right? When people get old, they start doing whatever the hell they want to do. They recognize that they spent most of their lives trying to please people that they can't please. My son taught me you don't have to wait.
So
Do
just
it.
so let me ask both of y'all a question. Somebody just asked, what about the children's fathers? Are they helping? And then
I'm gonna okay. All right, give me I need 1 second. I'm gonna let you answer first. But I have to step aside for this for 1 second.
wow.
No, no, my son father don't help at all. He don't even live in New York or whatever the case may be. But I did discuss, my concerns of, his son diagnosis and stuff like that. He don't care. He don't. It's just like he just left the burden on me, pretty much. Don't send no birthday card, no nothing, and it just left me to deal with this all by myself. And it's just sad because it's
So this
like
is I'm sorry,
like
go
how
ahead.
can you just do that? Like you just really left him out to just pretty much like I don't give a damn type thing. Like you deal with it, and then it's like the majority of the men is like the woman. They feel like the woman is always stronger, so they don't have to do nothing. They'll be okay.
I want to be very honest. I have a better situation than you do. My my son's father is also my daughter's father. He is present, but not really. So again, this is another spectrum that we have to discuss. He uh he almost never had a job. That's why I had 5 jobs. Um he is embarrassed. He is currently, to some degree, embarrassed about our son because he was um an athlete. He went to the Naval Academy. He played football for Navy. He was a star athlete in high school, and he told me when I gave birth to my son that I was going to raise him until he was 5, and then he would take over and teach him football and basketball. But then we knew by the time he was 18 months that that was not going to be his situation. So what he's done is he'll do things like, he'll see the kids at this point on weekends. I have them Monday through Friday, and he keeps them on Friday from like 5 to 9, and then on Saturday from like 8 to 3:35 to 5, depends on what he wants to do, and then on Sundays a couple of days. But I know that people think that this doesn't mean that I'm a single mother, which is very aggravating to me because I pay for everything. I pay for the services. I pay for their overhead. I never get a night off. I don't
Mhm.
ever get to go out and have
Mhm.
a good time. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like when I did, I had to, his mother, who has chosen me because she's seen what I do, did actually come here to help me take care of my kids so I could go away for my birthday. But he has taken my kids to the park and played catch with somebody else's child while my son sat on a bench and cried.
Mm.
Like,
It's
what are you doing? What are you even doing when you do
terrible.
that?
Terrible. I mean, that not for his father not being present, that bothers him as well because he felt like even though he felt like he's different, he was like, well, why don't my father love me? And that's just something that it's a difficult topic to discuss. Yeah.
Yeah, well, my son definitely feels like that. I
Right.
mean, my son doesn't even speak, but it's very clear that he feels like his father is disappointed in him. Now, this is the other thing that I'll say. This is one of my other major issues with their father. He doesn't want to work, but he did start a clothing line based on my son called Thank You for Your Kindness, but it's just the acronym
Hmm.
TYFYK. My son does not like to be photographed. He does not like to be videoed.
Okay.
He front loads my son and claims that this clothing line is for him. He has a daughter too. He's gotten stuff like with that acronym on it, with my son's name on it. He ignores the fact that he has a daughter.
Hmm.
My son, and then he'll do these videos with my son, and my son is horrified by it. This is not what the way that you support your child.
Right. So I also have another question. Um, I had did some research, like parent mothers that have children on the spectrum develop PTSD.
Oh yeah.
That's like one
So
out of
you said
five
something.
parents. So that's like pretty much 18.6% that meets that criteria. And I experienced that because I've been diagnosed with that too because he had done something that was a trigger that happened to me in the past and stuff like that. And
You have a
the
father here.
service, huh?
There's a father here who has a daughter who's autistic,
Oh, it's
and I
harder for
you know
autistic girls. I
you
can't
Mm.
know
see the
I wanna
chat.
so I wanna put something up real quick. You know what I'm saying? Because he got something special for y'all. That he put. I want to share it with y'all. It's just something that I felt like the need to definitely put out there. Salute, salute, salute. Share that live, y'all. Share that live. Look at these women up here, man. Look at these black queens up here, man. It takes a lot of courage to do what they're doing right now. So I want to. He, I've seen him go through the struggles and everything. With
It takes longer to diagnose a girl with they believe that my daughter is autistic too, but it takes much longer to diagnose a girl with autism than it does a boy.
Well, they it took me a long time for my child to get diagnosed. They didn't know how to diagnose him at first and
Oh
stuff.
no, I don't question that at all. But the thing that they say about girls is
Yeah.
that they learn how to pretend in a
watch
way that boys don't necessarily have
watch this
to.
right here, y'all.
Okay.
I'm watching.
My daughter has an aura. One word to describe it is awesome. Every day I fall in love like the leaves from the trees in autumn. To lie or be fake, my daughter doesn't have the ability. So she is one person who I can always be certain and never question her authenticity. My daughter plays a starring role in my life, a part she got without no audition. I've always been wise with all three of my eyes, but her life has given me more vision. My daughter is self-driven and usually moves on autopilot. That's why no matter the day or the climate, I try to do things to make her happy and excited. My daughter is carefree, and some may consider her audacious, but to me she's courageous and doesn't live in society's cages. My daughter may be nonverbal, but that doesn't mean she's not audible. And when it comes to her wants and her needs, nothing is unattainable or unaffordable. My daughter doesn't need an audience. She finds pleasure in autonomy. moves off curiosity, and does everything with honesty. My daughter's not materialistic, holds no negative characteristics. My daughter's name is Honora, and my daughter is autistic.
You
Wow,
got to send that to me. You got to send that to me. I
that's
must have
beautiful.
that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
Very,
so
very beautiful.
I don't know if y'all could see him. His name is his name is DY. You can't
I,
see
wa-
the comments.
I can't see any comments. Can you?
Yeah, I was seeing some comments.
I can't see anything. I don't know what I did wrong, but I can't see anything. But I wanted to. Can I respond to it?
Go
Can
ahead,
remind me your name? Is it Sharetta or
Oh,
Sharita.
Sharita.
Sharita? Sharita.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like while we're on this chat, like let's be very real. I have experienced a significant depression, and I've also not gotten the support that I needed at work.
Can I ask y'all an honest question though? Like,
Yes,
you know, have y'all come across a man and you meet a dude and then he knows that your son is autistic or whatever, and then he try to use that shit to try to get in your pants and all that type of shit.
I will start with that if you don't mind. Not that they would try to use it to get into my pants, but it was always I care about your son because I care about you. And first of all, let me be clear. I've been very afraid to commit to a man because I don't know that there's a man who would love my son the way that I love him. I don't even know that his father loves him the way that I love him, right? So
Right.
there are dudes who will be like, "Oh, I'm fine with your son being autistic," but then also I'll be very clear because and I don't care how this sounds. I've been fairly successful despite the fact that I was raised in the projects, the fact that my both of my parents were alcoholics, that I was raised extremely poor, like didn't have electricity and all this other kind of stuff. Not all the time, but sometimes. Um, they would try to, given how successful I became, quote unquote, despite that, would try to hold my son's autism over my head. Like, well, you don't really have room to be expecting a dude to treat you a certain way. I'm telling you, I'm
I got
accepting
you,
you and your
D-Town.
autistic child. And I'm like, oh, my son is not an albatross for me. Listen, the minute that you say that my son is something that I should be ashamed of, that's going to make me harder to date, that's the minute that you got to get
Share the
out of.
love, y'all.
That's when you
Hmm.
got to get out of my face.
Right. So, right. So I had a bad experience. So I haven't been dating in a while. I tried it, but I had a bad experience. So introduced this guy that I was dating, and I thought he was a good person and stuff like that. He said, let me give you a break. Let me help him with his homework and stuff like that. I was like, it's very, you have to be very, very patient when it comes to helping him out with his homework and stuff like that. I said, look, I'm glad that you want to help and everything like that, but I think that is you don't know him, what would be his trigger and stuff like that. You know, I'm fine. I would do it myself. But then he insisted, so I was like, you know what? I needed a break. I really, really needed a break. Like I was just so exhausted, so tired, had bags underneath my eyes. And I was like, well, finally I have somebody that's going to support me, that's going to help me. And you know what the fuck that mother freaker did? Okay. I'm in there cooking and he hit my child. I chase his ass out the house with a goddamn knife. How freaking dare you assault my child and you know he's on the spectrum? That was traumatizing. I didn't bring no dudes around my son ever since then. And a lot of people was like, "Oh, you need some me time," and I don't have time for that because I blame the mayor, I blame New York City for not helping single mothers like myself.
He did what?
Um, huh?
Sharita? He did what? What did he do?
He hit my child. He hit him. Pow. And then it's like you're bold and you did it while I was there. So can you imagine if I wasn't there?
My problem is that my children's father has put his hands on my son and my daughter. And I am in the process now of getting, supervised visits, but I have custody of both of my children. And you really can't, there's not much I can do until the law gets involved. I,
Right.
I can tell them, okay, I have custody of them. They're not going with you.
Right.
That's what that is. But
Right.
a lot of it is that he just doesn't have the patience to have a special needs or even a child who's neurotypical. And I don't know. My daughter is showing signs that she may be autistic too.
Do y'all trust? Do y'all have a hard time trusting people alone with your kids?
I
Yes.
do not do it. Nobody is allowed to be alone with my kids. The only people I leave alone with my kids are my best friends, and even then, my kids have to be in bed
So
before I do that.
I have somebody that want to come up here and join you.
Please do.
Yeah, because
Please.
this is big. We ain't playing with this. When you see JAH-ACE TV, you already know what time it is. I'm coming with that real content, and it ain't no game, man. I'm on this YouTube thing and I'm playing for keeps. You know what I'm saying, Jesse and Sharita?
Yes.
And I'm not. I honor both of y'all for doing what y'all doing, and it takes a lot. So the brother want to come up here, he want to share with you. You know what I mean?
Please come through. Please
Right.
come
Come
through.
through.
DY, come in.
Hey, hey, how's everybody?
Hey,
Hi.
Hey, sisters, y'all good?
how,
I'm just so blessed to hear. I respect y'all courage, first of all, just to bring this to, the social media. It's so personal. It's so personal. But the idea that you guys are sharing this right here is going to help people to be more courageous. It's going to help them to support their kids better. But I do have a story. I have a son that's high functioning autism.
okay.
Autistic kid. He had first of all, JAH-ACE, salute, bro. Thank you, bro. Thank you, brother. Thank you
You
for this
already know.
topic, man.
Salute.
Thank you for thank you for bringing the real, man, to the people, man. Bring it to the heart of the people, man. We appreciate you. Sure. So my son, basically high functioning autistic kid, basically was my stepson. I still call him my son, from
Yeah.
my wife's son, my previous wife's son. So here he is. I come into this kid's life at 5 or 6 years old. He's about 5 or 6, and my wife is telling me things. Kind of like I kind of notice he's very happy-go-lucky. I mean, he's like the happiest person I ever met in my life. I didn't think anything was wrong with that, but apparently it's a red flag in the world we live in, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So with him, Asperger's was his diagnosis. So basically, what that does, that affects you socially,
Hmm.
meaning like, he can't get the third party conversation thing. All four of us can be in a discussion and we can be talking. He can be right there with us as the fifth person, and we can be talking about him almost to details, and he'll be laughing and cracking up with us, not knowing that we're talking about him. So our challenge for him was, first of all, he's a big dude. He's like his dad was 6'9", so he was
Ooh.
always for his
Ooh.
age. In the eighth grade, he was 6'5".
Oh, that's scary
So
for
Mm.
he was
me.
also an athlete. So there was an expectation there,
Yeah.
Jesse, that just like your son's dad, because if his dad played basketball, his dad played hoop overseas, and so he was supposed to be the second coming of that, to take the next step up and even go to the NBA, right? So
Yeah.
so everything was looking good. The height was in place. This guy's 6'5" at 15 years old. We're thinking he's going to be every bit of 7 feet. And we get to a point, I started noticing that he couldn't comprehend to plays, like coaching, like he couldn't catch on. And for the guys that know sports, and even young and ladies that know sports, we call that basketball IQ. You
Right.
know, had a low
Oh,
basketball
shit.
IQ.
I'm
You
I'm
know what I
so
mean? I
sorry.
noticed that right away. So I was just thinking, like, is that his because he's not really interested in the game and he's just tall? Then I noticed that instead of basketball, he loved he loved movies and television, movie and television more than anything. Because you know what a kid loves, what they do in their spare time when they don't have any responsibilities, right? When they
Right.
don't have any responsibilities, they're gonna do what they love to do. So I saw that. Now we're getting to the point where he's about to go to high school, and I'm like, damn, what are we gonna do with this? This dude, he can't comprehend um, to basketball on the level, on a competitive level, with people who are trying to be student athletes and take it to the next level and go to college, right? So I had to start. So I had to start really talking to my ex and saying, "Hey, I don't think this is a really. I don't think team sports is for him. We need to look into getting him individual into individual sports where he can excel. Maybe like track
Mm.
or maybe something that didn't require so much memory, so much interaction with other people, and also instinctive things, instinctive actions. So to make a long story short, I didn't have to plan anything because the kids figured it out for me already at school.
To just jump in very quickly, I think that this is not abnormal. You know what I mean? Like, not every child is equipped to play every sport, right? There are
Right.
certain sports, right? So, what is so important to understand about special needs kids is that they may be capable of certain things that other people are want them to be capable of. But is it bad that my son is going to be a swimmer instead of a basketball player? No, right? And that's what you
Absolutely.
were saying.
Yeah.
That's very
Oh,
smart because my
what?
boy took on to volleyball, and an actual volleyball coach came to me and said, if you give your son to me, all he's going to charge me is $50 a semester. I will train him, and he would have his entire education paid for. But my wife was chasing his dad's basketball dream.
See,
So
and I come from a very tall family too. So my daughter is like enormous. The shortest
good.
man in my family is 6'3". My father
Is
was
all right.
six
I'll talk
four.
to you,
Well,
Jesse.
I'm just so happy that your kids is into sport. My child is not into sport at all. He's afraid of he don't want the ball hitting him.
But
He's just
Okay.
not into it. He's
but he
just
has other
into
stuff, right? You
Yeah,
know what
he's
I
just
mean?
into singing. He just loves to sing. That's
And
just
So
that
that's
is,
what
you
I
know
wanted
what?
to
If I
pull
could
up for
choose
you.
something, I would sing. I was a volleyball player, not a singer, but I would prefer
Mm,
to sing.
I
yeah.
wanted to pull up for you when I put in the quote when I put in the chat. What does he love to do? As I was typing it, you answered and you said he loves music. To an autistic kid, that's his language. Music is his language.
Mm-hmm.
Music is the way he can relate. If you keep him in music, if you wrap him up in music, if you put him in a music school, a creative arts school, you will be surprised at the progress that he would make compared to him being in
Yeah,
normal
this is
school.
one of his. This is one of his drawing.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah, he's talented.
He's
He's
very
talented.
talented. So we focus on his creative work,
So they have creative
something
arts.
that won't
So
make him feel overwhelmed and stuff like that.
so
So that right now he's in his last year of high school. So we're trying to come up with a job that he's gonna love and don't feel overwhelmed, and he can be successful and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what I've been working on right now. Unfortunately, I don't have time to date or anything because it's like my main focus is for him to be successful and be able to be independent if I'm not here.
yeah,
So that's
Sarita,
pretty much my main goal right now.
Sarita, you ever when you're not around, do he has like a home aid or something? And
Yes.
how do you feel about the home aids? Do you have cameras in the house? What?
Yes, I have cameras in my house. So far I've been blessed with two home health aid. One comes Monday through Wednesday, and the other one comes Friday and Thursday. But the thing is, with OPWDD, they only allow you a certain amount of hours. So being that I work in law enforcement and I have a high demanding job, they only cover 5 hours. That's still not enough for me and stuff like that. So it's like I'm fighting with my job, letting them know that my max I can do is only 12 hours. I have to be home. But it's like they don't care, and then it's like I have to go off the handle, and then I'm labeled as I'm crazy, um you know, um, I'm just dramatic, and I'm just all these things. But it's like when I came to them respectfully, and I showed them all my documentation. This is what's going on. This is what's happening to me. I had an ACS case because at the time I didn't know that taking his Xbox was a major trigger, because he don't like to verbally talk. He likes to text text you. Like I could be in my room right now, right? And a normal 17-year-old will come to the room and say, "Hey mom, I want this." Not him. He'll text me like, "Mom, I feel like this, I feel like that." And so I was like, well, I'm texting him back. I said, "Well, son, why you didn't come in the room and talk to me like that?" But he feel comfortable with that. So it's like I want to ask, other parents that have children that's on the spectrum, and it's different layers to it. How do you punish them if they do something wrong?
So that is
I
something that
know
has been a
that
very
his
difficult question for me to answer.
exactly. So
My
it's
son
like,
used to my
huh?
son used to beat my ass. I will be very honest about that. Like he would wait until I would get to the top of the steps and then like run and try to push me down the steps. He almost choked me out one day. I had to flip him. And he's very, very strong. He got
Mm-hmm,
over that, but
mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's a real answer to that because at the end of the day, however
Exactly.
I had to respond to it, I feel guilty
Right.
because like who wants to flip their son over their back,
Oh my gosh,
right?
let's just talk about
But
that
I was, but
experience.
he was gonna kill me. There was no question
Yeah,
about it. He
that
was
I
gonna
had
kill
that
me.
experience 2019. Um he had problem with time management. And that's a problem. If I got to be at work early in the morning, it's it's hard for me to get him to get up on time. I mean, a lot of people always used to say to me, "Oh, what about your son? What about your son?" Okay, my oldest son was holding me down for all my career. It's time for my son to live his life, and then
Mhm.
the thing that pisses me off the most is like everybody keeps saying, "Oh, you don't have family." I was like, if I have family, would you think I'd be asking for fucking assistance? Excuse my French.
Well,
But
that's the other thing too. Yeah,
yeah.
about not
So in
having family.
2019, when I tried to call myself punishing him by taking his equipment and stuff like that, yeah, he attacked me with a knife. I don't have no
Whew.
knives in my house. He tried to take his life, me and my brother. And it
I
was it was it was moments, and I'm not afraid, I'm not embarrassed to talk about this live, because I want parents that's watching this show to understand that it's not easy raising a child that's autistic, because they could be very aggressive. And ACS got involved, and for them to get involved, they supposed to have all these resources, all these information. They have sent me nothing. You
I
know what
think
they
it
did?
really
They
depends on
was
where you live,
learning,
and it shouldn't be like this in New
but
York
they was
City.
learning off of my experience. So it's
Of
like,
course they were.
how you gonna help me and you learning off of me? They didn't even inform me. They didn't even tell me about respite. They didn't tell me that he's entitled, even though that I have a city job, that he's entitled to Medicaid. I could have a Medicaid waiver. I had to learn all this on my own, just fighting. It was like, well, don't. And then it's like my insurance wasn't covering a lot of things. So I was like, well, so what y'all saying to me?
The
Like, just
thing is that that's not even available outside of New York necessarily. I'm
uh,
sorry. I'll be quiet after this. I promise you. But I've
Nah,
lived
you're
in
not gonna be quiet.
Pennsylvania. I've lived in Atlanta. I've lived in Alabama with my son. Nobody will provide him with Medicaid. I think Pennsylvania did, but I had to live there for a year first.
We
This is
have
a problem. This should not be a state by state issue. This is people.
yeah, it's worldwide,
this
because
world.
it's like now if you do your research and you type in um What's the qualification for home health aide to take care of a special need child? There's no education, there's no training whatsoever. So it's like how the system is going to punish me, where you supposed to have all these profession that's supposed to help your child to elevate and live, at least try to live a normal life with the spectrum. That's a problem for me. Right now, I'm still fighting. I'm still arguing with his care management. I was supposed to be provided with a life coach. I have not received that yet. I when he was hospitalized and stuff like that, the doctors just wanted to just throw him away. After I told him that, I was fearful because I was like, well, how do I punish him? How can you train me professionally if you went to school for this and you talking about here's the medication and you diagnose him with this? How is it that you can help a parent guide them how to let them know what they doing is wrong, even though in their world it's not possible.
So we have another father on here right now, Sharita.
Hmm.
Introduce yourself, brother.
Hey, what's going on? Hello, Sharita. Hello,
Hi.
everybody. I'm actually I'm the one that wrote the poem that Ace played a little bit earlier.
Oh, that was
Um,
so beautiful. Beautiful.
thank you.
Can
Yeah.
you oh can you spit that right now, DY?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah, spit that for the peoples, man.
all right. I got it written down here. Let me get into my iPhone real quick.
Because that thing there was deep, bro.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, yeah. I actually performed that at an autism event, and that was during Autism Awareness Month. Um, Yeah. So anyway, just to give a little background, I'm the father of a 8-year-old daughter that's diagnosed on the spectrum. She was diagnosed when she started preschool, when she turned 3.
Mm,
Okay. I honestly believe, I mean, like I said, this is my opinion. This is not fact, but this is my opinion that it was the vaccinations that caused her autism. And I've done a lot of research to try to back up my opinion. The fact that the inner cities that we come from, they give all of the vaccinations at one time, and since they started doing that, it's caused a very high increase in autistic kids. My daughter used to knew how ABCs. My daughter used to count to 10. My daughter used to sing every nursery song you could think of. My daughter used to sing me happy birthday on my birthday. Um, I mean, she was a normal child uh, up until 2 years old when she got those vaccinations, and then everything started regressing to the point where she's 8 years old now. She's nonverbal. But let me just get into what Ace asked me to do. All right, so basically, I wrote this poem and I took all of the words that had or, because autism, so I played off the or, and I was like, my daughter has an aura. One word to describe it is awesome. And every day I fall in love like the leaves from the trees in autumn. To lie or be fake, my daughter doesn't have the ability. So she is one person who I can always be certain and never question her authenticity. My daughter plays a starring role in my life, a part she got without an audition. I've always been wise with all three of my eyes, but her life has given me more vision. My daughter is self-driven and usually moves on autopilot. That's why no matter the day or no matter the climate, I try to do things to make her happy and excited. My daughter is carefree, and some may consider her audacious. But to me, she's courageous and doesn't live in society's cages. My daughter may be nonverbal, but that doesn't mean she's not audible. And when it comes to her wants and her needs, nothing is unattainable or unaffordable. My daughter doesn't need an audience. She finds pleasure in autonomy, moves off curiosity, and does everything with honesty. My daughter's not materialistic. She holds no negative characteristics. My daughter's name is Honora, and my daughter is autistic.
beautiful.
Champion.
And to relate what you was talking about, the vaccine, yeah, it's a vaccine, the MMR. I did resource that causes autism, and they have, you know, they give this to these kids and stuff like that. And like the more and more I'm talking to people, it's so many parents that saying that their kids is autistic. Yeah, taking them
I've
MMR
I've
shots.
I've literally had arguments with doctors, and because I told them, I say, you're never gonna admit it, because if you do, you know how many lawsuits is gonna open up. The pharmaceutical companies, the medical industry is gonna perish because of all because of the autism, because of autism, and so they're never gonna admit it. They're gonna say, "Oh,
Yeah,
that's
they're not gonna admit it.
that's conspiracy theories. Oh, that's this. Oh, that's not a proven fact. That's that's conspiracy talk." And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like,
No, but
you're
to be
never.
honest with you, they are protected. Even they know they weren't doing, you cannot even sue them.
Mm,
And I did research on that, and it's just sad. It's like they can just do what the hell they want, and it's no repercussion.
mhm.
And
I want
us
I
as
want
parents, we have to deal with it.
I wanted to say this, right? There's a very good friend of mine, who has an autistic son. Her name is Stephanie, and her son's name is Sebastian. She's actually, I want to say this because at the end of the day, Ace knows me. Ace knows me from way back, and I'm a very big advocate about Afro Latino unity. You know what I'm saying? And my friend started my friend is a Dominican female, single mother of an autistic son, and she started a foundation called One Blue Heart at a Time. And I remember you were saying about how you was concerned about the law enforcement and them knowing that one of the things she's actually advocating for is having the ID cards, having like something that the officers can scan to say that the child has autism, or the child has special needs, so like that they can know when they're dealing with the child, how to, or the individual, don't have, it could be an adult too, that they know that they're dealing with somebody who has mental health issues. And so they're fighting for that. We just did an event before I left New York, that where we actually had NYPD. We spoke to them directly, and trying to get this lifted off the ground. It's being supported by NYPD.
Mhm.
And her foundation, One Blue Hat at a Time. I mean, she does she sponsors trips to Great Adventures for Autism Day, Sesame Place. She works with parents. She works with the kids. I mean, look her up. It's called One Blue Heart at a Time. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to get involved, get involved. She's doing big things for the autism community.
Oh,
Yeah,
She
that's
because
good.
definitely is.
because DY, that's what this is about, man.
Hmm.
Sharing information, bro.
Yeah,
It's real
definitely.
important because a lot of people don't be wanting to talk about stuff like this, man.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And there's a lot of parents that might be listening to this. They might not see it now, but as it get floated around,
Yeah,
they'll know
definitely,
that there's
definitely.
nothing to be ashamed of, man.
Yeah,
Nothing,
definitely.
because they very amazing, and they
Yeah.
think differently. And it just brought to my knowledge that a lot of companies want to hire autistic kids because they think outside the box. They see things differently. They have different
Hmm.
vision, and they unapologetic themselves.
Yeah.
And it helped them involved, especially in technology and something like that. My son right now, he didn't help me fix my malfunction today. He's like, and one, two,
Yeah.
three, and I'm like, oh my
I
god,
mean, I mean,
okay.
I mean, they say that when you lose one set, like if like a blind person, right? They have amazing sense of feeling. You know what I'm saying? They have an amazing sense of smell. You know what I'm saying? They lost sight of their eyes, but all of their other senses have been heightened. So I feel like it's the same thing with autism. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm,
they've lost certain abilities, but their
mhm.
other abilities are heightened. You know what I'm
All
saying?
right,
Like
this is something that I really never discuss with anybody but my closest friends and family or whatever. But being that I'm dealing with him on the spectrum, and he has so many other elements that that I have to address and stuff like that. Not only he have all those elements, but he also have an identity crisis.
mhm,
So
As far as
it's,
what?
it's been very hard for me. He
mhm,
considered himself them. and I don't know anything about the LB, G community. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, but
BTQ.
yeah, Q community, and I'm trying to be supportive and stuff like that. And that's why I really don't date too, because it's like I don't want my supposedly person that I'm dealing with judge my child because he have an identity crisis. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I get choked up thinking about it because it's like um just dealing with everything is very, very stressful because it's like I'm trying to make him self-sufficient. I'm trying to support him what he wants to do. And then it's like not only he have that, he's very vulnerable. He could be an easy target. So it's like, damn, now I gotta deal with this shit. You understand? Excuse my French. Now I gotta deal with this. How? How? Like, who can somebody conford me to guide me, help me, protect him and stuff like that? And I gotta work all these hours. And then it's like the city only giving me 5 hours for assistant. That's not right. That's not fair. And then it's like I have people on my job telling me, well, why don't you send your child to a facility and stuff like that? Why? Why should I? My son is brilliant. He's intelligent. You see his artwork in the background. Why would I give him up? Because not only he going to feel like, well, damn, my mother don't like me. My mother don't love me neither. My father not there. So what you think is going to happen longer down in the road? He's gonna be a statistic to the society of being locked up and stuff. I refuse.
And regress more.
Exactly.
I go through that. If you look at the film, I'm quite sure you can relate. With a female. My daughter's a female, and I think that's my biggest fear as a father for her is that her vulnerability. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that she's nonverbal. She cannot tell me, Daddy, this man touched me. She cannot tell me, you know what I'm saying? She cannot tell me, you know what I'm saying? And then I always worry about like when I'm no longer around, is she, what's gonna happen to her? You know what I'm saying? Like, is she gonna be able to live? Is she gonna be able to function? Is she gonna be able to support herself? One of the things that I've dealt with recently, and then like now, see, like my daughter, I don't know how old your son is. I don't know if you mentioned it. I might have not have tuned in by at that time, but my daughter's 8.
How old is he, Sharita? Sharita, how old's your son?
Can you hear me, Ja?
Mm-hmm.
She's coming. She's tuning out.
You good, DY?
Yeah, but like my daughter's 8 years old, so right, like the things she does right now, people still look at that as she's young, she's a little baby, so they still brush it off as being like kiddish and cute, but it's not going to be that way when she's 16. It's not going to be that way when she's 21. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like she's older now, so now it's like it's no longer cute. Now it's weird. Now it's funny. Now it's strange. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of my biggest concerns with her, because like one of the things that I've been dealing with recently with her is her touching herself. Autistic kids, they have a sense of touch. You know what I'm saying? They do what's called stimming. They do this. And my daughter, she has a sense of touch, so she touches herself. You know what I'm saying? And we might be in the park, we might be in the mall, you know what I'm saying, and she'll sit there and she'll touch herself, and people stare, people don't know what's going on, they don't know, you know what I'm saying, they judge, you know what I'm saying. I mean, we all know we live in a judgmental society. That's the way of the world, you know what I'm saying, and people judge without even knowing without even knowing the intangibles of everything that's going on. And I've had numerous times had to explain things to kids, explain things to people, and even to kids, you know what I'm saying. And I say, I found myself getting upset sometimes, but I have to tell myself, like, these is kids, and it's the parents' job to explain to the kids what autism is. Kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know how many times I've had to sat down in the park and talk to kids and say, I'm sorry, my daughter doesn't talk. But why doesn't she talk? Oh, because she has a sickness, you know what I'm saying? And her sickness means that she doesn't learn as fast as regular kids. So she hasn't learned how to talk yet, you know what I'm saying? But, and I, like just, I had to explain, and, that's really, it's their parents' job to explain that to them, you know what I'm saying? it's just like those. These are the things that we're dealing with, and my biggest fear is that as she gets older, is it going to get better or is it going to get worse? Because remember, like I said, now she's a kid. Things she does is childish, it's cute, but it's not going to be like that when she's 16 years old, when she's 25 years old. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
How you doing, Talia?
Hi everyone. I'm so
Hello.
happy to be on here. I had to take my Tylenol 800 for my voice.
Yeah, so
I,
talk to us about let the people know who you are and you know tell us a
well,
little something about yourself and your experiences.
my name is Talia. My son is autistic. He's 21 years old. Um, Mildly, they say, autistic. And to touch on something you were saying, just now with the age, yeah, it gets worse. The things that were cute, when they say he's mildly, at a young age, that mild meant something. It was like, oh, okay, he's cute, it's not that bad. But as they age, you start to see things that are not so cute when we're out and about. My son likes to mimic. He's very good at that. Very, very smart. At a certain age, he knew planets, every planet, um, everything, his alphabet, animals, how to program things. I heard you touch on the shots, the vaccines, the MMR. That was a big thing that changed. I think that changed his life. That's the cause or the catalyst to it. Um, and it's just been a struggle. He's the best thing in my life, but it's been hard. When he was diagnosed at 2 in 2003, I didn't know many people with autistic kids. I didn't know how to explain that. And even to my own family, even to my parents, they were like, oh, he's just different, and never really accepting what it was. Now Jaden is 21, and I heard someone else say their son loves to sing. That is his thing. Singing,
Yes.
Disney, he's always behind where he's supposed to be. So he's still a big Disney fan. And you know, uh, Beyblades and those things. Matter of fact, my 14-year-old is now kind of outgrowing my 21-year-old mentally, and that is it's heartbreaking. It's hard. I still mourn the child that I had, the child that I had this great hope, you know, for, the astronaut in my mind. you know, it's hard, and I'm just so happy to hear other people on here, dads especially, that are on here
Oh
expressing.
yeah.
I think it's harder for fathers to accept, especially
Yeah.
for sons. I thank God my husband stuck in there. I have friends that it split them apart, because for men it's very hard to have sons that are not like them,
Yeah. I, s-
So I'm
I
just I'm
say
just so glad to be on here.
I say the same thing. I had put in the chat earlier that I mean I've gone to workshops. I've gone to seminars. I've gone to facilities. I've gone to out here in Florida. There's something called We Rock the Spectrum, where it's like it's like a whole center that's geared towards the autistic community. And I have to say, man, like it's 90% women. ninety
Hmm.
percent women, and it's sad, but it's the
So
truth.
so what could be done to change that?
I mean, we what one thing I've been talking to Stephanie about is like probably starting workshops, like maybe like what I'm saying, like to maybe better train fathers to deal with it, because I mean, as men, we we're prideful. We're very private, and so when we tend to deal with pain by hiding it, or by coding it in, and so it's hard for men to to say, hey, I need help. I don't know. I don't know what to do with my child, or I don't know how to be a father to my kid because my kid has special needs. I don't know. I can't deal with it, and they tend to run to vices that'll take away the thoughts and the feelings and numb it. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that I know, friends, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I also know some warrior dads, like we always call autistic mom, we call them warrior moms. I know some
Mhm.
warrior dads too that that hold it down, and but it's few and far between. And it's maybe that maybe like some training can be done, to help them, because that's another thing too. Like they have services for the kids, but they don't have services for the family members. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Like, like
right.
the brothers, also the brothers and the sisters. You know how many
Yeah.
parents I know that say that their kids are so sometimes feel like neglected because so much attention
Yeah.
has to be given to the autistic child. So
Yes.
so 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 let's say let's say you have like a 2-year-old autistic kid, and then you have a 6-year-old that doesn't have special needs. The 6-year-old starts feeling neglected because there's so much attention has to be given to the 2-year-old. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And they get resentful, and they get,
Oh,
saying? So, so training some.
I'm glad you touched on
Yeah,
that base because
it's a fact. It's a fact.
right,
It's a
because I
fact.
just found out like my oldest son pretty much told his father that he wished that he was just the only child. I don't want to say it too loud because
Yeah, yeah,
but yeah, and I didn't know he felt that way.
yeah.
And
And
he was
there
feeling
should
he was feeling
there
depressed.
should be services for that. There should
Yeah,
be
because
services
I feel like my
for that.
oldest son needs to go
Yeah.
to therapy too because
Hmm.
not only was he aggressive towards me, he was aggressive towards my son. It was plenty times I came home and my child and hit my oldest son with a broom, and I
Mm-hmm.
saw blood on the floor. Like the job don't even know I'm going through this. Like the job don't even know half the time I got assaulted, and I go to work and just dying and suffering and silence. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
know until one day I just came to work. My hair was messed up, and it got to the point I can't put it up front no more. I need help. And it's still like right now, I'm still struggling with services. And I just don't understand why.
Sharita,
And, huh?
can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Were there ever a point in time where you felt like, you know what, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm done with this.
Oh,
I want to just end my life.
yeah. I tried it before, and you know, I'm not ashamed to talk about it because all it did, it made me stronger. But yeah, I did try to commit suicide. And what brought me back to continue on fighting when I was in and out of consciousness, I heard my boys crying for me. So I knew that I didn't have that support. I'm so sorry. Talking about it is very, very touching. But
Um,
Sorry, we're here with you, sister. You good?
yeah, we
We
are.
here,
Definitely,
we,
but
definitely,
we
definitely,
with
All
you.
been through
but
it.
now I
definitely.
know that I didn't have no family support, and it would have been selfish of me to leave them like that by themselves. Not knowing that something can happen to him. So from that day forward, I fought for my child to be successful to finish this last year of high school. I forced. I just had to. I had to stay strong. I had to think positive thoughts, and the only thing that brought me to that thought of suicide thoughts because you got people, oh, she's overreacting, she's lying, he's 17 years old, he don't know how to do this, he don't know how to do that, he don't look like he's autistic. But tell me how an autistic child supposed to look like. Please
Oh,
tell me.
people do that
This
all
is
Yeah.
the
ignorance that goes on, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, mm-mm, no, mm-mm,
Yeah.
Yeah. I
yeah.
think we all go through that. You know, it when my son was diagnosed, it broke something And it took a lot of my life trying to uh, just cope, you know, a lot. I couldn't get out of it, you know, the funk, the fact that there's something wrong with my baby and there's nothing that I can do about it. That was so
Right.
hard for me. I cry so often, you
Yeah.
know.
You
It,
being a
it's such a
emotional
strain.
roller coaster.
Yeah, yes,
So
it's such a
so
strain on my relationship because my husband, he while he understood, he just didn't understand why it was so hard or why couldn't I just accept what was going on. But I always had a way of seeing the future. So I thought like, okay, if it's so hard for him now, could you imagine when he's a man, you know, when he's 18, what's gonna happen?
That's
And I
Mm.
just it was always that fear. When my son turned 18 on his 18th birthday, I thought I was going to be so happy and you know, we're gonna celebrate. I spent half the day locked in my closet crying because now everyone will see. It's so visible now because all the other, what they call generalized children his age, are now going off to start a life, to start adulthood.
Hmm.
And mm,
Yeah, I can feel your pain because my
yeah,
son, he have anxiety attacks because this is his last year of high school. He don't know what to do. So it's
right,
like if I'm working 16-hour shift or whatever, when do I have the time to implement to show him how to
right.
go to the DMV? I had to do it like on my off day, take him to the DMV. He talks so soft spoken that I have to tell him, look, you have to speak a little louder, to give him confidence that you know how to take care of your business. Not too long ago, he had a paid internship, whereas he drew a big mural in Best Stuy. It was so beautiful. It was the news and everybody was there and stuff like that. And so they gave
Yeah.
him a card, right? A debit card, so he could put his money into the card because he didn't have, a bank account. So I told him, this is your opportunity, son, to take care of your business, and I'm going to be here to guide you. So when he's talking to the customer representative and she's asked him a lot of questions, he was able to do, he was doing good, and to the point that they asked him, what's his his zip code. He didn't know it, so I was like, son, your zip code is this. And so she stopped and she was like, is this really so and so, or whatever the case may be? And I said, ma'am, this is really him. I'm his mother. My son is high function autistic, and I'm just trying to teach him how to conduct his business. And so I asked her, I have a question for you. Now, what happened if you have a parent that the child is nonverbal in the same age bracket as my child? What is the protocol? So she put me on hold and she was saying, oh, wow, that's a good question. So these are a lot of elements that we got to overcome and
Yeah,
try to figure out how to help our children that's on the spectrum.
yeah.
Because these
And
services
into
that I'm getting
adulthood.
right now, they are not providing that. And I have to
Yes,
do what I have to do to make sure that he's not left behind.
so,
yes, exactly.
Talia, being that you spoke about your husband and everything, and everything that's been going on. w- Are y'all good now? Were y'all able to recover from that initial hit?
Yes. You know, it took a lot because at the time, like I said, in 2003, you know, everyone had a different idea of what caused it and what it could be. And at one point, they were saying it's in the male gene.
Mhm.
And my husband took that very hard. He blamed himself for it. And I had to come to terms that a part of me blamed him too. Because I thought, well, damn, like you should know, you know, who you're having kids with before you have kids. And so that was something between us that we had, you know, secretly holding on
Wow,
to.
that's deep.
Yeah, and didn't really know. And so we had to come to terms with that and realize that we are here. We both love this child unconditionally and we love each other. So let's make it work. And so now we're more of a team. Now that we've learned so much, now that we've been through this process, I mean, even learning to want other children, together, because we were afraid of that. The
Yes.
chances are, same parent having another child, the child could be worse than the first.
Hmm.
And so those were all the things that it took us a long time. Took us, talking to people and just understanding each other to get to the point where we're at today. That we're raising this young man and still be able to love on each other and understand what each other is going through.
I think
Wow.
I want to say something too. Right? I think one of the things too that bothered me, well, that bothers was, I mean, to this day it still bothers me, but I've learned to deal with it in, in a more productive manner. It's like the limitations, like, you know what I'm saying, like I've had so many people telling me, like, oh, they can't do this or they can't do that, or you shouldn't take them here, you shouldn't take them there, you know what I'm saying. And
Hmm.
I've always been with my daughter, like I'm gonna take her there, and if she doesn't like it, then we're gonna leave. But I'm
Right.
not gonna I'm not gonna limit
Mhm.
her from experiencing life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
like like I've taken her to Disney World. I've taken her to Cancun. I've taken her to Puerto Rico. I've taken her to lounges, parties. You know what I'm saying? And like, people, oh, the music, the music's gonna be too loud, and it's gonna be too much. It's gonna be too much of a crowd. They don't like being in crowds. And I've taken my daughter to places, man, and she's loved it. Like, we've danced together. We see biggest smile on her face, and she's eating the food, and she's running around and playing, playing with people, and and like, that's my thing. Like the limitations. I feel like, like society places limitations, and you don't know, the spectrum is so vast
Yes.
that
Yeah.
you can't say that just because this autistic kid didn't do well with this doesn't mean that the other one is not. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like, you can't. It's so weird on how autism is, because what you it's like, for example, like, the flu. It's all common symptoms, right? You have a cough, you have a
Hmm.
fever, you get chills, your bones ache. It's all common. Autism is not like that.
Yeah.
Autism is
Not.
it's you can't you can't
Hmm.
pinpoint the symptoms.
You
You
sure you
can't
can't?
pinpoint.
And no
Yeah,
two that
Nope.
it's
are
so.
right.
Yeah,
Everybody is
exactly.
their own person, and it's so
Hmm.
much layers. There's so much layers to this,
Hmm.
and people just don't understand. And it's so sad that people need to just educate themselves.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Instead of being judgmental.
Yeah. And
Anybody,
I
any,
think we need to come
anybody else in the
together as
chat?
well.
Anybody else in the chat that want to come up? The link is right there, because I see it's other people, Talia, that's saying in the
Hmm.
comments that they also going through the same thing that all you guys are going through. So I want to invite them up here as well, so they could get some of this love and support same way.
Oh,
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
Dog, I just wanted to say before I step off, man, I just want to let you
Mm.
guys know about a little progress on my son, because it's a continuous struggle and it's at different levels too. So I want you guys to use this as encouragement. My son, even though I have to admit he didn't have some of the serious behavioral type issues that I listened to, unfortunately, that some of your children have been experiencing, but um, he did go on to graduate from college.
oh,
You know,
wow.
Yes,
he
Good.
actually,
Good.
that's
That is
right.
awesome.
there's so many positive things about autism too. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
he couldn't stand to be late. He can't stand to be late. He has to be on time. Everything has to be organized.
Oh
And
yes.
not he's in disarray. Don't you want to be that way? I damn sure want to. You know what I mean? I need to be on time more for sure.
I wish mine was. This
Right.
top medicine sucks.
Right. So out of all that he has accomplished, I want to let you guys know I'm still in the family and in the struggle with you, because now he's a man that's 25 years old, no, 26 to be exact, 26 years old, that has the mind of a 15-year-old, even though he's accomplished all those things.
Right.
He's
And
accomplished
nobody
all those
gets that.
things, but it's not transferable into the workplace because we know at the workplace what is
Oh
chaos.
yeah.
It's
Oh,
Yes.
chaos.
Yes.
oh,
So
That's the
so he
problem I
wouldn't be
have.
able to survive there. He wouldn't be able to survive there. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the challenge. So I'm letting y'all know that I'm in this struggle with y'all. Thank God that the brother brought this topic up. And I thought I was kind of out of the loop a little bit because because of my son's accomplishment. But listening to y'all, I'm telling you, I'm gonna dive back in, and whatever support group that we can start out of this, or wherever y'all
Yes.
need my support. I'm in Los Angeles. You guys in New York. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna be here for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna ride with y'all on this. I promise you. And I'll
D,
pull
Yes.
my
That's
son
what
up.
we
I'll pull
need.
my son
I
up.
really appreciate that.
D
I have
time.
one more question.
Yes.
Hold on,
Um,
Sharita. Hold on
being
one
that you,
second.
oh,
Hold on, Sharita. D time. Make sure you subscribe to JAH-ACE TV, man, for this content, man.
Oh man,
You already
for
know what
sure.
you joined today, brother, and so you seeing what I'm about right here, man. You know what I'm saying?
Likewise, brother. I've been depriving myself, brother. Please say less. You know what I mean? Say less. And I still want to commend the sisters because I know you guys are doing this. Listen, man, this is another story that the sisters are going through damn near alone. And I
Yeah.
commend the brother on the
A
panel
lot
right
of
here too. And we see men that are just like you have single parent men. You have a brother here that's doing that. That is amazing. That is amazing man. And I have a lot of respect for you. But
yes,
I'm gonna say this: 050, the movement is the show that brought me together with JAH-ACE. And I'm gonna say
that's
on
right.
that show, a lot of
Salute to
subject
the whole
matter.
50, man.
Salute to the 050.
It's
Is
a
is a
fact.
lot of is a lot of subject matter that deals with younger people who are not conscious enough, or who don't understand the blessings that they really have, and they're just throwing it away, and they're going and they're living a criminal lifestyle. They're going to jail. They're doing all those things. Just think if just think of our kids. If we found a way to connect with them and say these kids right here, if they had the ability to that you have now, they would soar. You know what I'm saying? But you're throwing yours away. You know what I
Right.
mean? So your
right.
kid can be your child right now, sisters, and the brother can be a role model to younger kids who've been blessed, but are not harnessing their blessings.
Yeah, this is not gonna be the last time, that we get together because I believe in putting out it's a bunch of platforms. We all don't gotta do the same thing, D time.
That's right.
You feel
That's
me?
Yeah.
right.
So it's about being creative, man, and coming up with the content, bro. Like this right here, this is real, and I'm like I feel like she's crying up here, and man, I'm like, damn, I'm glad I did it.
But I did for you.
I'm
You know?
glad you
Right.
What
I got one question for those that have kids over the age of 18 with the spectrum. Are y'all now seeking services for them, or they just doing their own thing independently and you just there to support them and guide them?
I would say for me, you already spoke on it earlier. I think the research for us is to find employment, or find out the companies that do have resources. And I'm telling you, there are a lot of companies that have resources and they want to have autistic kids on their payroll,
Right.
like our kids. They really do. They're out
Yeah.
there. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna form a list. I know. I'll just drop it on you guys. Are y'all familiar with the aerospace companies?
did. No.
No.
Like you've been familiar, like Northrop, McDonnell Douglas, aerospace. You can just do the research on it. They're all on the East Coast. They're all on the East Coast. They have a lot of funding for that. They
Oh,
have
okay.
a lot of funding for that, but they're mostly like manufactured jobs. You know what I mean? Things that you can do repetitive over and over again.
Right. Okay.
Right. I know this is going to be like tough, but I also want to create an agency that really can help guide the parents to the right, you know, help, assistant and stuff like that.
Right.
Because they was giving me the runaround, and I want to make sure that a parent would never go through what I went through. So I know that's something that I have to put into the works and do a lot of research, see if I could get government fundings and, pretty much write out of, the things that I need, and hopefully somebody will support me on,
Okay.
on this journey.
Oh yeah, that sounds great. I think we need to get our congressmen. I've tried it down here, get them together every time they come out and they want our support and our vote. These are topics that we really need to get on them about. And I think if enough of us is out here doing it, even if it's independent living or semi-independent living,
Right.
Right.
for our adults now,
Right.
on the spectrum, a lot of them can function in their own spaces, but well
Right.
monitored. And I
But
think that's
monitor. Right.
something that we
Yeah.
need to touch on and try to get
My
all of
God.
these people running, all these congressmen, all the, in our states together. If we can come together collectively wherever we are and push harder for this, I think this is something that can be done.
Yeah, you got my vote
I
because
agree.
I'm.
I I think
They
too
matter. Autistic matter. We should hashtag
yeah.
autistic kids matter.
Yes.
One thing I can say, I mentioned my a good friend of mine earlier, which is something she did, and that what one of the inspirations that I had got, I remember I was randomly looking online. I was looking for programs for my daughter, like things that she could do, like they in New York they had like horseback riding programs. They
Hmm.
had swimming programs. So one of the programs I found was a music program that was actually based in Harlem, and it was called the Daniel Foundation, and the parents had started it because their son had became I think he had multiple sclerosis or the cerebral palsy. He had cerebral palsy and everything, and the music was something that made him happy. So they developed this musical foundation in his name and in his behalf. And one of the things that the father and mother had said was that they wanted to leave something behind that they know would when they go, that they know will carry their son and make sure that he's good when they leave the earth. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And one of the things one of the things that I want to do is that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that when God takes me,
Yeah.
it's that she's good. And
Yeah.
so I'm working with Steph with one blue heart at a time, and what I'm saying. And hopefully we can. I think that the one thing that's good is that it autism is something that can bring, whether you're in California, like the brothers, he's in Los Angeles, whether you're in Atlanta, Florida, New York, North Dakota, you know what I'm saying, even like all over the country, all different races, cultures, creeds, sexual orientations. We all dealing with this autism thing, and everybody can come together for one common cause. And I think that things can happen, and like the brother said, it's the content and the ideas. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The coming up with ideas on how to bridge the gaps, I guess, basically. You know what I'm saying? For the kids, but not only for the kids, but for the parents too, and for the communities,
And for the
because
community.
Right.
the communities need to be educated on
Need to be
autism too, so they
Right.
educated.
can, so they, so it could be less of a stigma. It could be less of a,
Right.
of a weird thing or strange thing. It could be more accepted.
Hmm.
I think, and I,
Right.
and I think that's something that should be spearheaded. You know what I'm saying? It should be pushed forward, and I mean, the government has money for wars, but can't, you know what I'm saying,
Can't feed
but
the
can't
poor.
DY,
but can't feed the poor, man.
DY,
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
Hello.
DY.
yeah.
Yeah, so that poem is in high demand, brother. So
Yes,
you
sir.
got you got other people that came in and they heard they got the word, so they want to
Oh
hear it,
man.
brother. You got other
Okay.
autistic parents that came
All
in,
right. Listen.
want
This
to
is
Uh,
hear
what
it,
I
man.
do. This is what I do, man. One of the things that I want to do from like my daughter too is I'm thinking about spearheading something, and I wanted, and I'm actually going to use her name. My daughter's name is Honora, Annora. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to take the acronym of her name and create a national network offering resources for autism. Honora.
Oh,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And so that's in the works. And that's something that I want to leave behind when when I go for her. But all right. So the poem I wrote is like I'll explain it again for those that don't know. I basically took autism, and I took the awe, and I used the awe to describe my daughter and who she is. My daughter has an aura. One word to describe it is awesome. And every day I fall in love with her, like the leaves from the trees in autumn. To lie or be fake, my daughter doesn't have the ability. So she is one person who I can always be certain and never question her authenticity. My daughter plays a starring role in my life, a part she got without an audition. I've always been wise with all three of my eyes, but her life has given me more vision. My daughter is self-driven and usually moves on autopilot. That's why no matter the day or no matter the climate, I try to do things to make her happy and excited. My daughter is carefree, and some may consider her audacious, but to me she's courageous and doesn't live in society's cages. My daughter may be nonverbal, but that doesn't mean she's not audible. And when it comes to her wants and her needs, nothing is unattainable or unaffordable. My daughter doesn't need an audience. She finds pleasure in autonomy. She moves off curiosity and does everything with honesty. My daughter's not materialistic. She holds no negative characteristics. My daughter's name is Honora, and my daughter is autistic.
Yes.
And basically,
Yes.
I mean, like that's I'm describing my daughter, but I'm honestly describing any autistic kid because
Mm-hmm.
we all know that's
Such a
what they are.
sweetheart. They such a sweetheart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know that you could take your child and put them in that same description, and it'll describe them to the T.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, man,
Exactly.
you always knew how to touch the masses, brother.
Mm-hmm. Thank you,
You
brother.
know what I'm
Thank you.
saying? So I appreciate it, man, and I'm glad that you came up here, man. This started out to be like just for the mothers or whatever, and when I
Mm-hmm.
thought of you, I said, "Yo, he has to be on the platform, bro."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Because I
Thank
know
you.
that from day one, the brother was out there. He wasn't ashamed of his daughter, man. You see
Like
That's
what
I
I'm
said,
good.
I've
saying? And
taken, I've taken my daughter on stage with me
he
to perform.
spearheaded the whole
Like,
movement with
Yeah.
autism and
It's
showing his
awesome
daughter.
to see. Awesome
Yeah.
to see fathers.
Yes, it's always been the mother's like it's just a
Mhm.
breathtaking to see that a father is doing the same fight as us. And I
Yeah.
really appreciate you. Your poem is beautiful, and you
thank
describe
you.
autism to the T because they don't have a hate just in their bone. They just
Yeah,
pure
Attention.
unapologetic and
Yeah.
just loving. They just want.
yeah,
See,
Mm-hmm.
I had to teach my son that the world is not nice, and he just
like,
see everybody as nice,
like,
and I
like, what's
had
crazy?
to, yeah.
What's crazy? Not to cut you off, but what's crazy? Like something you said, just like triggered something in me because I remember when my daughter was first born, and me and my first child, so I went, and, saying now, I bought her Jordans, I wanted to buy her polo, and saying, and dress her all, and my daughter did not care about none of that. Like she's not
Mm-hmm.
materialistic, like like
Yeah.
all she cares about is having fun with daddy. Like
Oh
take me to the park, take me to the pool, take me to the trampoline, gym, the bouncy house.
yeah.
Take that
Mm-hmm.
that's all she cares about.
Yeah.
She doesn't care if it's Jordan
Yeah.
or if it's Gordon. She
Yeah.
doesn't care,
So let me ask you something, Talia. Can you hear me? Or she froze up?
Uh, yeah.
Sharita, so this is not gonna be the last time we do this. You see what I'm saying? Because this is a broad topic, broad subject. Children is involved, and we want to see some big things happen, man.
Oh, it's gonna happen because I'm doing some research, like for
And you
real.
and you've been around me, so I'm the same everywhere I go, Sharita.
Right.
DY, you've been around me behind the wall, everything, and
yes sir.
you see me, I'm still me.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? I'm big on that, man. Just being myself, and I'm enjoying the fact that I could come up here, man, and give everybody a platform. And I hope that you guys share some type of information so y'all can just be supportive beyond this point. You know what I'm
Right.
Yes,
saying?
sir.
Yes. Please send
Matter of fact,
any information.
I'm gonna put the at in the chat right now too. Um,
Okay.
DY, you got anything to close us out with, man? As far as like something dealing with like fake love or lack of loyalty or something to go. I need you to go out with a bang for me, bro. You know what I'm
um,
saying? DGR, I'm gonna make sure that he close my boy DY, he gonna close out hard body, man. DY, put your or
matter, I,
your Instagram in the chat. So you got some
yeah.
music execs, you got dudes that make beats, producers, everything that's in here, bro.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go with this one. I know you're gonna like this
salute,
one. I know you're
Kayim.
gonna like. I know you're gonna like this one, Ace. All right. This one is called The Agenda, and basically, I'm talking about the the agenda against our gender. All right. There's an agenda going on against my gender, and if you act like you don't see it, then you a pretender. Now I don't want to be an LGBT offender, but I'm a right and wrong defender. And my freedom of speech is something that I'm never going to surrender. Let's go back in history, if you feel I'm mistaken, and start with slavery, a system called buck breaking, where the plantation owners took the rebellious slaves and sodomized and raped them in front of the others to instill fear in their mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers. The dominant male screaming for mercy with stretched arms. That sadisticness grew so popular that it led to what was called sex farms, where male slaves were bred for nothing more than sexual pleasure. And you gonna tell me there's no agenda against my gender? Let's fast forward to Tuskegee. Maybe then you'll bear witness. Men being used as lab rats to test the long-term effects of syphilis. Some will justify it by saying the research is why today, when it comes to this disease, we're able to treat and prevent. But this experiment was done with neither knowledge nor consent. And if you're still skeptical inside and need further proof, then how about the extent that they went to hide and cover the truth? To combat the uprisings of the 60s and 70s, they flooded the streets with heroin. The after effects could still be seen in cities like Kensington and Baltimore, Maryland. The American dream for Hispanic and black men is actually a nightmare. It's like we at war with an enemy that honestly doesn't fight fair. And every black and Latin male in here has worn Nike Airs, but this here's facts. They wanted to put the Betsy Ross flag on a pair of Air Max. And despite all evidence to the contrary, we laughed at Stephon Marbury and let his sneaker company wasn't worth anything monetary. Instead, put our buying power in the hands of the oppressor. And you tell and put our buying power in the hands of the oppressor and give power to these sadomasochists and child molesters. Corey Feldman, Corey Haim, Todd Bridges all revealed the child abuse of Hollywood and how it left them with shame. But people ignored it and wrote it off as the price of fame. Epstein Island operated with free reign for over 20 years. And best believe the young boys who were flown there shed plenty tears. In the 80s, the war on drugs swept our nation. But it was just a mask to justify mass incarceration. Because Big Pharmaceutical sells the safe substances legally, and government officials take their campaign dollars eagerly. In 20 states, you can now smoke marijuana leisurely, and it's only because they can now grow it domestically due to recently developed machinery. And if the poppy seed or coca leaf can be grown on U.S. soil or one of its domains, then they will also legalize both heroin and cocaine. They say it's about addiction and saving human lives, but it's really because they don't want South American and South Asian countries to thrive. Here's a word to the wise. That stuff don't come in here on no magic carpet. And the only reason it's a crime is to eliminate the profit from the foreign market. See, the minute a foreign leader goes against U.S. policy, he faces assassination. And Escobar and El Chapo were cool until they got political aspirations. They realized they couldn't really profit off the import, so how they profit is off the prison system and criminal courts. To support the Contras in Nicaragua, the CIA sold crack in every city that had a high population of Latinos and blacks. And since high society likes to get high, they made sure the laws didn't affect those at the top and differentiated the sentencing guidelines between powder cocaine and rock. The Crime Bill of 94 wasn't about being preventive. It was about giving state and federal governments incentives for harsher sentencing and more prisons that we all know is a fact targeted nothing but men who were both Latino and black. Primetime TV used to be wholesome, both drama and family shows. But now primetime television is like anything goes. The CW network, which was created to target teens, now leads the way in sexual scenes, both raunchy and obscene. And music and television have the power of persuasion, both innocently and controversial. And this is why companies spend millions on advertisements and commercials. See, I'm going to speak my truth whenever I touch a podium. And if there's no agenda against my gender, then why are they promoting sexuality on Sesame Street, Disney, and Nickelodeon? They reverse Roe versus Wade and consider abortion indecent. But it's okay for children to take puberty blockers and get hormone treatments. There's no agenda against my gender. This ain't the New World Order. But a parent could reassign gender if what they really wanted was a daughter. There's an agenda against my gender. Please understand me. That's why Nas got the best rap album of all time, but it was Lil Nas X who won a Grammy. So many men are either dead or in prison or on drugs, leaving women as head of the family. And Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B are role models, promoting men mentalities. And what about the savagery of police brutality and how its casualties are always the same nationalities? And what about the men who sit in corrections because the color of their complexion gave the judge a different perception than Cal Rittenhouse's criminal gun possession? The Constitution gives me rights, and law is supposed to abide. But when my rights are violated, I'm told to simply comply. It's a war going on outside. No man is safe from. We've already lost a few good soldiers, because if they feel you're a threat to the agenda, they develop something called cancel culture. And after what I just said, you might consider me suicidal, because I'll probably be their next victim once this poem goes viral.
Woo!
Woo.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how you do it, man, and that's how you close out, man. We definitely gonna do another part to this, man. We gonna bring it's gonna be other people because they're gonna see this and it's gonna get them the courage.
Yeah.
Sharita, Talia, DY, it's gonna get them the courage to want to come up here and share and be able to, put forth the information because everybody got different information because people are in different states.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, DY, did you put your
I'm
joint in
about to
there?
put it. Let me put it right now. Let me tap in.
Big
And I
shot.
I just want to say to the parents that do have kids with who have autism, never stop fighting. Never give up on them. Continue on fighting, no matter how tough it gets.
Yes, I agree. There's a whole wonderful life out there for our kids growing into adulthood, and we just got to make sure that we leave something for them to continue to thrive.
You put it there, DY?
Yeah. I gotta put it. I gotta go to the
All
YouTube.
right, just tell me. I put it there. Just tell me what it is. What is it?
DIE
DIE.
YOUNG
Wait, let me
BX
hold on. At DIE. Yeah.
YOU
Mm-hmm.
NG
Mm-hmm.
BX.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's on Instagram.
Yeah. So y'all follow him on Instagram, man. And if you ain't subscribed to JAH-ACE TV, man, I don't know what's wrong with you, man. At this point, that's a fact.
Yo, thank you for the platform, Ace. You already
You
know.
already know,
Anytime you need
man.
me, anytime you need me,
We gonna
brother,
link,
I'm a
man.
phone call away.
DGR, Mikey B, get with him, man. Stop playing.
Salute,
Sharita,
kid.
you wanna share your Instagram?
Yeah.
What is it?
STARRBANGIN.
Yeah, so y'all follow her, man. Because y'all can share information and transfer some good energy, man, because we need that, man.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. It was a
Love y'all,
pleasure.
man.
Thank you, Ja, once again for let us share your platform and just making awareness. Teddy, come
Love
on.
y'all, man.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Yeah, y'all take care of yourself, right?
Later.
All right.
Love. Y'all already know what it is, man. Tune in to JAH-ACE TV. Stop playing, man. DGR, If you look on in the chat, it's there. DIE Young BX on Instagram. DIE like Die Young BX on Instagram. That's his page. Yeah, man. Love everybody, man. I want everybody to go and share this right now. And if you ain't subscribed, definitely subscribe. You know, JAH-ACE TV is on a mission. You know what I'm saying? And I got a whole bunch of content coming, man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't playing with this YouTube thing. This ain't a joke, man. You know what I'm saying? There's room for everybody. Let's all make it happen, man. Salute to everybody, man. Listen to this This is from DGR, man. This is a hot track. As I close out, man, I say salute. 100. Y'all already know what it is, baby. JAH-ACE TV. Hit that like button, man.